In this video, we will be making 4 servings of Japanese-style chicken curry with rice. The first thing to do is prepare all our ingredients. To start, let's cut an onion. I'm going to peel and cut 1 brown onion into thin strips. You can cut this into larger pieces if you like, but I want it to caramelize and kind of melt into the curry sauce, so I am cutting it thin. Put it in a bowl and set it aside. Next, we will prepare our aromatics. Here I have 4 cloves of garlic, which I am just going to smash lightly with the side of my knife and peel. Then I am going to cut a piece of ginger of a roughly similar size to the amount of garlic I have. I am going to finely grate my garlic and ginger because I wanted to incorporate into the sauce. Once the garlic and ginger are grated, I chopped it through with my knife a few times to chop any chunks that didn't get grated properly. Put this all into a bowl and set aside. Next I have an apple. Any type of red apple will do here. I am just going to peel this, chop it into quarters and remove the core. Then just grate this like the garlic and ginger and chop any remaining apple chunks. Add this to the same bowl with the garlic and ginger and set it aside until it is ready for cooking. Now let's prepare some vegetables. First I have 1 carrot, which I will peel and chop. I am just chopping this into roughly similar sized pieces by rotating and making irregular cuts along the way. Put this into a bowl and start on the potatoes. I am using 4 potatoes here, which was around 500 grams after peeling. I like quite a lot of potato in my curry, but you can use as much or as little as you like. Peel the potatoes and chop them into whatever size pieces you like. The exact size isn't all that important, just make sure they are all similar in size so they cook at the same time. Put the potatoes in the same bowl as the carrots and set aside. Now let's deal with the chicken. I am using 4 chicken thighs, which I am going to clean up by removing any excess skin, fat, connective tissue, cartilage, or bone. Then I like to make a few cuts into the thicker parts of the thigh to even out the thickness so I can cut it into more even pieces. Cut the chicken into pieces of whatever size you prefer. I am doing pieces of around this size. Repeat this for the rest of the chicken and put it into a bowl until ready for cooking. And the last thing to prepare is our dry ingredients. To a bowl, add 2 tablespoons of any mild curry powder. Ideally, you would want to use a Japanese-style curry powder, but any fairly non-spicy curry powder will work. I am also adding 1 tablespoon of chicken stock powder, but you can also use chicken stock as a liquid instead of water when cooking and omit the stock powder if you prefer. And also add 4 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, which is what will help us thicken the sauce. Mix everything to combine and set aside. And with all the ingredients prepared, we are now ready for cooking. I am going to cook in this saute pan, but any large pan with high walls will work well. Heat the pan on high until hot and add 2 tablespoons of oil, which I forgot to film. Then add the chicken 1 piece at a time, as I find this helps to minimize the amount of water that leaks out. Leave the chicken to cook on one side for a couple of minutes as we are trying to get some good browning on the surface. Once you have got some good colour, mix the chicken around and leave it to brown on the other side. I also flipped each piece of chicken to make sure the uncooked side was touching the surface of the pan. It doesn't matter if the chicken isn't fully cooked at this point because it will cook through later as it is simmering in the sauce. Once you are happy with the colour, tilt the pan to keep in as much oil as possible and remove the chicken. The chicken can go back into the same bowl since it will be cooked again later. With the heat down to medium-low, add the onions. I also added a pinch of salt as it is supposed to help them cook faster. We want to soften and caramelize the onions here as opposed to char them on high heat. Keep cooking them until the residue from the chicken on the bottom of the pan gets darker and could potentially burn. Before it burns, add 1 cup of water and keep mixing everything to deglaze the pan. Bring it to a boil, then turn the heat down to low and cover with a lid for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, our onions have softened even more and we can add our garlic, ginger and apple. Mix it all together for 30 to 60 seconds or until it becomes fragrant. Then, with most of the liquid still remaining, add the dry mix. Stir everything together and it should quickly start to thicken up into a paste. Keep cooking everything on medium-low heat so it doesn't burn. After a few minutes, the liquid will have reduced a little and the curry powder should be nice and fragrant. We are looking for a thick paste, something like this. This will form the base flavour of our curry sauce and help to thicken it. At this stage we will start to add water, or chicken stock if you were using it, in a few stages. First I started with half a cup of water and mixed it through until incorporated. Then I added another 1 cup and mixed it again. Then I added a final cup for a total of 2.5 cups. You might need more or less depending on the size of your pot or pan, so adjust as needed. Now we have the base sauce for the curry. I am going to add 1 tablespoon of honey, which you can also replace with brown sugar if you want, and 1 bay leaf. Now add the chicken back in and the potatoes and carrots. I also added another pinch of salt at this point so that the vegetables have some amount of flavour to absorb as they cook. Now all we need to do is let it cook on low heat until the potatoes and carrots are cooked and the chicken is tender. I was happy with the consistency of my sauce, so I cooked it with the lid on. If you have added too much liquid, cook with the lid off so it reduces. And if you need more liquid at any stage, just add more water or stock as needed. It took me about 25 minutes of cooking total until everything was cooked. I also stirred everything around every 5 minutes because the sauce is quite thick, so it could potentially burn on the bottom if it isn't mixed around. Once everything is cooked, turn the heat off and remove the bay leaf. To season, add 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, or just use salt if you prefer. Then taste to check the seasoning and add salt if needed. Mine needed a little more salt, but adjust according to your preference. While the curry is cooling down, let's make some rice to serve it with. I am using this short grain Japanese style rice since we are making a Japanese dish. However, you can use any other rice that you like. I used 1.5 cups of rice, which is a little less than I would usually make for 4 servings because we also have the potatoes as a carbohydrate source. Wash the rice with water 3 to 4 times and strain it. Add the strained rice back to the pot along with 1 3/4 cup of water. I also like to add a pinch of salt to my rice, but that is optional. Set the pot over high heat and bring to a light boil. Once boiling, turn the heat to the lowest setting and cook with the lid on for 12 minutes. After 12 minutes, turn the heat off but keep the lid on for another 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, we should have some perfectly cooked rice. A good sign is if nothing is stuck to the bottom of the pot. Then fluff the rice up so that excess steam can escape. Now we have finished cooking, so let's add the food to our containers. Evenly distribute the rice between 4 containers on one side and the curry on the other side. For size reference, these are 1 litre containers. I also added some chopped spring onion as a garnish just for presentation purposes. Then let them cool at room temperature for a while before adding the lids and storing them in the fridge for up to 1 week. To serve, just heat in the microwave and your meal is ready. Each serving ended up being 634 calories with 34 grams of protein, 96 grams of carbohydrate and 13 grams of fat.